Real life stories on display. Gifts and talents in every way. Building up the community. Have you had your 2% today?
Okay, well, welcome back to the We Are the 2% podcast. I don't even know how many episodes we're in right now, but we've got a few out there. And so today I'm very excited for our guest. And I think when we get to the part where he starts to share a little bit of his story, you'll know why. And most of you watching probably already know who this guy is sitting next to me. But this is Kenny Williams. We are very excited to have him. He's our guest today. So Kenny, I'm going to let him kind of tell you more about himself because I think we have a lot to learn even just about you. I mean, we've known you for a few years now, but probably have, again, only scratched the surface of who you are.
I'm sure of that.
I'm excited to learn today more about you. But I will say, I'll just kind of give the high level who you are. You are married to Rachel, right?
Yes.
And the father of two, Molly and Carl, which I hope we get to hear about a little more in the podcast. And you also have a ministry called God's Dogs, which we'll get to talk about. Yeah, there it is. See, there you go. Yeah. And we've actually linked to your ministry before in the podcast because we've talked about it so many times because we love it. We've done it before. We've gone and served, and it's just an incredible thing that you do. But if you've not met Kenny, you don't know anything about God's Dogs, you're going to hear all about it today. So thank you for doing this. We're very excited that you're here.
Most assuredly, it's my pleasure.
Good. I'm glad. It's going to be fun. So the first segment we always do is called Story Time. And that's where we kind of we learn as much as we can about you and your faith journey and whatever you want to share. So my first question will be to kind of get to know you better. Tell us whatever you want, career, hobbies, family, the highlights, or
Sure.
Let's talk for 2 hours. I don't care. Tell us more about yourself.
No problem. Well, most importantly, I'm my husband of 31 years.
Wow.
To Rachel. Yeah. What a blessing. I mean, she's been a trooper. and father of two. My son Carl is, let me guess here, 26 years old now, and he lives in Nashville, Tennessee. Works for Bridgestone Tires.
Cool.
Fantastic job. It's just a wonderful situation for him. And my daughter's Molly, and she is 24. And she's up in Ohio now, and she's been a missionary and has intentions of being a missionary in the future as well. You know, she talks about Africa and all that, but you know, God's good. He's trained us all along the way with her. I'll share that with you a little later, but praise the Lord that she's got a heart for God and she's following His path that He's laid out before.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, and career-wise, prior to God's Dogs, I've done all kinds of cool stuff. I mean, after college, I went to the University of Florida, and
Go Gators.
Go Gators! Yeah, I mean, man, how about Ole Miss? I mean, they beat Ole Miss yesterday, and then they beat LSU the week before. If you'll just bypass the beginning of the season and pretend like that didn't happen, but hey, man, I'm totally psyched. So yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, and Carl graduated from there too, so that makes him a third-generation Gator.
Okay, so alum, got some alum.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So my dad went there, I went there, and my son went there. So,
wow.
We'll see how it goes. Hopefully his children, if they have them, they'll go there too.
There you go.
Right.
The challenge has been thrown.
Yeah. And I was in pharmaceutical sales for 5-6 years, and then I became a journalist and wrote a tech column for a newspaper about computers. Yeah, I did that for a long time, and then I invented it's kind of like a Swiss Army knife of boating tools. It's called the multi-pole, and I went around and developed a bunch of retailers around the states that sold it, and did that for a few years, and then what else did I do? Then what else? I guess that next I went into farming.
Okay.
And did farming.
Good. Yes.
I'm leaving something out that I did, but
Yeah,
you know.
like as if all that wasn't enough.
I mean, you know, I have I'm riddled with ADD and
So is he.
and like, you know, I love a job when it's in its mode of you're learning and it's exciting and all that. Once I get it down, it's like do something else, you know,
Yep.
to move on. But you know, so that's why I've got such a, you know, diversity of things, you know.
Yeah, I'd say so.
But you know, praise the Lord, God's done wonders in my life, you know,
Yeah.
and I've enjoyed all the jobs I've had. I mean, there's one that I wish that I hadn't done, but and then that leads up to when I lost my hand.
Oh.
So people always are. That's like usually the first thing when I meet someone for the first time. People always are interested, you know, they want to know, and I'm real patient. I just let them kind of squirm, and you know, so it's funny. Some people are just bold and just like right out there. How'd you lose your hand? You know,
Yeah.
Others are real polite and wait. And some of them don't even ever ask.
Yeah.
You know, I always let them off the hook. You know, and
Ease the tension.
and talk
Which
to them.
do you
yeah.
prefer? Do you want people to ask, or you kind of like the squirm? I feel like you do.
It really depends on my mood at the time, but you know, some people are just really rude about it, and they're not trying to be rude, but it's just like annoying. But you know, so they're like, you know, wanting to know what happened, and so I've developed you know, different scenarios as my answer, because it makes it fun. You got to have a sense of humor, you know, when something like this happens, and you know, so I'll tell them that
You should see the other guy.
Well, I was out fishing, and we were shark fishing, and we had a hook on the line, you know, shark on, and I was trying to get the hook out, and boom, and he swam with my hand, you know. Or another favorite is like run for the elevator, and I stumbled, and my hand gets, you know, closed, and then it cuts off, and there was somebody on the elevator, and they're like looking down, and they said my hand was moving around.
It's like the Addams Family hand that
Well,
just
and-
kept.
Children, that one.
That one, this is my favorite one. Is you know, I grew up in Orlando and worked for Gatorland Zoo, and I was a gator trainer, and you know, and so we would
Just
do
another
these,
job.
do these
Yeah.
shows, and you know, the alligators, we'd had them trained so that they'll sit with their mouth open as long as you don't touch the inside of their mouth. So like you're doing the show and, you know, playing around like that, and then when it's time to, you know, at the end, you just, you know, do a quick touch, and they'll snap
down,
close.
yeah.
And you know, I was doing that, but I was not paying attention, and man, it snapped down, and that thing did the death roll, and I got up, and I'm like, oh my Lord, the hand's gone, and I'm looking out in the crowd, and there's like women screaming and children crying, and
Goodness, what an
So that's-
active imagination.
yeah. So those are the you know, depending on the cat, you know, the person's politeness about asking, you know, depending on, you know, the truth of the matter is I lost my hand because I didn't follow my wife's instructions, you know, consequences.
That actually sounds really,
Yeah. No, she didn't do it, but it was so, you know, I was
Your payment for not listening to
Right.
us.
I've always loved fireworks, and I've
okay.
made my own explosives my whole life and stuff. And so I was clearing out some land, and I had made a very, very large pipe bomb, and it was definitely going to do the trick. But I wasn't paying. I was walking, and I stumbled over the tractor, and at some point something happened, and it went off.
oh my goodness.
Shock sensitive. You know, I mean, you know, I always was very careful about everything, you know, but you know, it's when you're dealing with an inherently dangerous situation, it's like you can't factor. I can factor A and B together, you know, make sure those don't ever go together. C coming into the factor, well, you know, you can plan on, but you know, so I was looking at a situation. First, it's a well-known rule, you don't ever use metal pipes when you're doing that because of the shock sensitive and all that. But so I always had cardboard tubes, but I was out of them. So, you know, so I made a, you know, really good sized metal one. And then that was, you know, the one day that I'm not paying attention and I trip and stumble, and the mixture that I had made, you know, when you're precise and measure out the chemicals, they're safe. They're not going to go off when you hit them or whatever. But you know, I'd done it enough to where, you know, I knew a scoop of this and a scoop of that and a half a scoop of this. And, you know, so, and evidently I had a little too much of something of the aluminum in there or something. And it, you know, it made it shock sensitive, you know, so, you know, poof, you know, there it goes, you know, and it was like, you know, it's like, it was just all white, you know. I don't even know exactly how it all occurred, but all I know is that I am so fortunate to be alive. I mean, there's no reason I should be alive,
Right?
Because I wouldn't have wanted to be within. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be within 100 yards of that going off if I could avoid it, you know. But so you know, it was happened, you know, and life changed. You know, from that point, and I was in the hospital, you know, and I took a bunch of surgeries to try and fix it, you know, as much as possible, skin grafts and all that. But I was going into my 7th surgery, and all the ones prior to that were real quick. I mean, they'd wheel me in and knock me out and do their thing, and but this last one, it was like the last one. And it's like I was waiting and waiting and waiting. It was like a half hour or 45 minutes go by. I'm like, what are they doing? You know? And then an angel walks up to me, and she was dressed like a nurse, but I know she was an angel. I know the Lord sent her. She came out. She goes, you look like you need someone to pray with you, don't you? And I said, yes, yes I do. Yes I do. And so she prayed with me, and afterwards, she goes, you know, your life is it's forever changed. It's completely changed. But you need to understand that you can do whatever you want to do. It just might be a little bit harder to do. You might have to ask for help. You might even have to relearn to do it. But don't ever let anyone tell you can't do something. And know this, that if it's something the Lord wants you to do, it's going to be easy to do for you. And she goes, you know, you're alive still for a reason. And I really hope that you find out what that reason is. Yeah. And so it was at that point, I made the decision right at that moment that I was only going to keep track of the blessings and the way this is used for God's glory in my life. And no one's going to hear me complain about it, because, you know, it's why complain about it anyway? I mean, it's ridiculous. I mean, it's like, obviously this sucks. You know, there's no question about that. Yeah. So who wants to hear someone complaining about the obvious? Yes, I wrote that out. Now my wife might disagree with me about this, about not complaining to anyone, but sometimes I do get a little frustrated with myself.
You guys are very close.
It's frustrating, you know. But so. I immediately just flashed back. I'm like, you know, just the fact that I'm alive, that's one of the miracles. But I mean, it's like, I didn't get knocked out from it. And then I'm looking around afterwards, and I'm looking at this gnarly mess and bleeding all over the place. And what's right here on the ground next to me? A roll of electrical tape. So I was able to wrap my arm up to stop the bleeding with that electrical tape. And I'm like, wow. And then my next thing was, I'm like, I gotta dial 911, and so I'm like my phone's all bloody, and I'm trying to dial it, and the screen would not react. I'm like, you trying to use my nose, and nothing's working. And then I remembered. Now I gotta make sure my phone is not. So well, I remembered. Okay, Google. Let me make sure it didn't. Oh, see, look at that, pulled me right up. Yeah,
that's how it works.
And then
just spell it. Don't say it.
DIAL.
Goodness, okay.
Make sure it didn't do that, because I've been telling that story before, and my phone dials 911, and yeah, I mean, when it does that, you know, my wife gets a notification 911. Needless to say, she does not like those when she gets them.
Stops answering.
Right? Yeah.
She's like, he's fine.
So that, you know, I was able to do that. I was like minutes later, there was a helicopter there and medics and all that, and I was whisked me off, and you know. That was just a miracle in itself, because I would have bled out.
God,
I mean, there's no way
here.
I couldn't. I mean, to have walked to anywhere to have someone help, I would have bled out. I mean, it just,
passed out.
You know, I wouldn't be able to drive myself. Yeah, I mean, it was just, so that was a blessing. And then And then the other amazing thing, it's like we're looking at some point on one of our accounts, we had a death and dismemberment life insurance policy attached to it. Now, I don't ever sign up for those. I wouldn't say, extra per month type of thing. This was just happened. It was on there. And, like 5 days later, I get a check for $150,000 for losing my hand. And I told my wife, I said, if I'd known that, I
think of it going a while ago.
Just joking about that. But that was
I've got
such a
3 more
blessing.
appendages, so
Well, if hadn't I lost both or a leg, it would have been another. It would have been 300 grand.
Right, yeah.
But I really kind of wanted to keep what I got left.
Right. We don't recommend doing that.
But and that was such a blessing because it was a huge. Obviously, it's like, well, now what am I going to do? With myself. But it's like it gave us that time to, work things out without the fear of like bill paying and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So
Man,
it was a real
he
blessing.
took such good care of you.
Oh,
despite
unbelievable.
Such a trial. I mean,
Despite being hard-headed and playing with stuff I shouldn't have been playing with, my wife had told me for years, you got to quit that. It's going to eventually come back to haunt you. And I'm like, no, I'm safe. I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
it's so funny when the wife's always right, but no. But I mean, you were experienced. You'd done it before,
Right,
And
yeah.
so what they call that?
Hey,
a freak accident.
this is what I say. I lived 47 years of my life without blowing myself up.
That's a
Yeah.
win. That's a win.
Yeah. So it took me that long.
Your success rate is
we're
still
talking,
pretty high.
a
Yeah.
good 30 years, 35 years of messing around with that stuff, and I never blew any parts off. So it's got to be some level of success.
Out of all that, only one accident.
Yeah.
Only
Right.
one.
Just one.
Yeah.
Well, no. I take it back. There's been some other accidents, but no injuries.
Right. Yeah.
There you go. That's good. So let me ask you this because something like that, and as that person who you believe was an angel, and I do too. I mean, obviously appointed for you in that moment to hear that.
Right.
Who else would do that? I've never had a nurse say, "Hey,
No.
you need prayer right in
Right.
this moment." Like
Yeah.
that's crazy. So it's not crazy.
And I
it's
never
God.
saw her again afterwards. And I did try and find out who she was, and I never could. We couldn't ever pinpoint who she was.
Interesting how that works. My question is this, though. Obviously, your life was forever altered after that. You did not go back to work, right? Like vocational work,
no,
right?
yeah.
So how long down the line did you go, okay, I'm going to start this ministry? How did God's Dogs come to be? And then we can kind of talk about like what it is and all that, but like where did that come after that journey?
God's Dogs started a little after after I lost my hand. It was a city group. They used to. The group, they would go out. Earl was part of it. Would go out and they would knock on doors, tell them about Redeemer Church, and then also, feed the. They came up with the idea to feed the homeless because there's so many around our church, and there's so many around. So they decided to start doing that, and then have prayer with them. And so Earl asked me if I wanted to come do that with him, and and the truth of the matter is so prior to losing my hand, if you had asked me, do I do anything for the Lord? Do I live in my life for the Lord? I would have said yes. I would have said, yeah, I do. Right afterwards, reflecting back, I'm like, I wasn't doing a single thing for the Lord. It was really, if I was doing anything that seemed like it was for the Lord, it probably had a big part of it for me too, And so, going to feed the homeless prior to losing my hand, I would have said, yeah, here, I got some help for him. How about get a job? Really, I had a poor attitude towards it. Knew nothing about it, about being homeless and all that. Didn't realize that, the truth of the matter is many of us, most of us are just one or two steps away from being homeless, poor circumstances. Because I've got people that have told me their story. I'm like, that really sucks. I mean, it's like nothing within their control had happened, but just the sequence of events, and all of a sudden they lost their house, and then they didn't have a home, and it's, so, and that, but my attitude would have been like, whatever type. But then, so Earl asked me if I wanted to come help this one time, and I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll do it. Not really meaning I would, but come day to do it, he's like, hey man, you come get me, and I'm like, oh, I guess so.
Keeping you
So
honest.
yeah, so I picked him up and we went out. We had peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and
Oh, yeah.
and I was like, man, after we got done doing that, I was like, that was awesome. That was really cool. And so that's how we got started with it. My life was changed from that point. I realized that I wish I'd known earlier in life what a blessing giving unconditionally, especially to somebody who doesn't have anything to give back to you. To give unconditionally out of love and pure respect that they're another human being made in God's image. Yeah. And it changed my whole perspective on things, and it's like, and I had such a good time.
Yeah.
And then it developed, it turned into hot dogs because I'm terrible at making peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. I was just the one that would make sure that we had all the supplies, and we had a couple people that would do it. But you can only really make so many of those in one shot because it's labor intensive. And so I was talking with Pat McLean, and so we were at some meeting, and he said something to me. He goes, Kenny, I got your next idea. And he told me about a book that called Misfits Welcome. Okay. And in it, there's a chapter where this guy, he's a pastor out in California, out in Los Angeles, has started the Dream Center. Oh yeah. And there's one here in town. Yep. But that he was in his front yard, and these people just moved in down the street from Phoenix, and he's watching them moving in, and they all got in the van and hooked a hot dog cart up to their van. And they're off and they're coming down the street, so he stopped them to introduce himself, and they explained that they were going out to feed the homeless. That's the first thing they wanted to do when they got to town. That's what they used to do in Phoenix where they were moving from, and they invited him to come, and so he said sure, and he went. And it was a transformative, change his whole path, and Pat said to me, he goes, "You're Hot Dog Kenny."
And it's stuck.
So we have
at
Pat
first
to
I was
thank
like,
for
I
that.
don't like the sound of that. Yeah. I don't really want to be called that. But so I went home after that and decided that it is a great idea. You can feed tons of people fast. Cook almost 200 hot dogs in a shot and give them out. And if you need more, just 5-7 more minutes, you got more. Yeah. So I looked on Facebook and I found a hot dog cart for cheap for sale, just to experiment with. Went bought it, and got it for I think I paid $700 or $600 for it, but it needed a lot of work. Yeah. A lot of work. But I'm like, well, I'll fix it. And so I'm on the way home from buying it, and right in front of one of my neighbor's house down my street, they had a gas grill out free, giving it away. Oh, jeez. And I'm like, oh, I'm gonna see, that might have some parts. It had all the parts I needed to fix that hot dog cart and get it going. It's not. I was awesome. Like, isn't God great? Yeah. So it's just unbelievable, And so we started using the hot dog cart, and I've been going, and I've got all kinds of cool hot dog cart stories, but it's it's an easy way. I say it all the time. It's an easy way to share God's love. Hot dog. People like hot dogs for some reason. And especially free hot dogs.
Yeah. Well, it reminds me of going to the fair as a kid, and there's something fun about it and novel about it, and light. It's just kind of light. You serve hot dogs at parties, at backyard barbecues. There's just something light about it, and I think that helps people.
Yeah, it has a tendency to be it's a quick meal, right?
Sure.
Hot dog. You can even eat it cold if you wanted to.
Yeah.
But
I know. When I was a little kid, open up the fridge.
I would still do that today. I'm not gonna lie.
I would hold off on that at this point in time,
at least.
I'm not beyond that, but still, it's a quick meal, but typically hot dogs were eaten at parties or something where it's there's a gathering.
When cooked properly, here's the rules. Boiling is the last way to cook them. And boiling takes a lot of the flavor out of them. Yep. There's a place. It's called the National Hot Dog or National Sausage Society.
Okay.
It's an actual government organization up in Washington.
Do you belong to it?
Yes. We joined, and then they have a whole section on hot dogs and the proper ways to cook it, what you should and shouldn't do with it. But so boiling out of the question because it sucks all the best flavors out of them.
Whoops.
And that steaming is the ideal way, not the best, but it's the quickest time-wise and easiest to do, and it holds in the most flavors. So that's what's so great about the hot dog part. The best way is to cook them on one of those, rollers, cook them like that, or in a pan, because it cooks in its own juices and makes it crispy.
Yeah.
So you're up to, and maybe this changed from Milton or Helene or whichever one you were up to 2 carts?
3. I had three carts because the first one, what would happen? Each one of them over time, they're not designed to drive around put as many miles as we do. They're designed to drive to a spot, set them up, sell your hot dogs, make your money, and go. They're not designed for you to go give them out to everybody in Hillsborough County. And so the pop rivets would wear out of them, and the panels would start falling apart. And so, that one started falling apart. Then I'm like, I got to get a new hot dog cart. And then I'm in Apollo Beach, and there's this one area where a bunch of homeless people hang out right next to this restaurant. And I look over, and there's a hot dog cart outside the restaurant. And I'm like, listen, I do this every week. I've never noticed a hot dog cart there ever. And so the next day, I went in to talk to the owner of the restaurant, and told him what I do. And he goes, "Oh, that's cool." He goes, "Yeah, I'll sell you that." And he sold it to me for like $300, and it was easily a $2,000 hot dog cart. He just needed some more. I said, "How long have you had it there?" He said, "Oh, it's been there for months and months. I think probably 6 months at least."
But you'd never seen
never noticed it. Never noticed it not once. So I got that, and that worked for a while until it started coming apart a little bit, and then a lady at Wawa one night when I was doing hot dogs stopped me, said, "Hey, can I talk to you about a hot dog cart?" I said, "Sure." So she goes, "How much money do you make with that doing that?" And I said, "Well, we give them away. Don't really make money, but I can tell you all about how to get hot dogs and all the ways to run it." And so I told her that. And she goes, "Well, thank you so much. I just bought a storage unit, and in the storage unit was a hot dog cart, so I think I'm going to try and make some money with it." And I said, "If you decide you don't want to do that and you want to sell it, give me a call, because I'd be interested on it, brand new hot dog cart." 6 months later, I get a call on a Tuesday night, and she goes, "Hi, this is Sally. I'm not sure if you remember me. I spoke to you at the Wawa." And I said, "Yes, I did." I said, do you happen to have a hot dog cart that you might want to sell?" She goes, "Well, I do. Why don't you come on over here and we'll talk about it?" So in my mind, I'm like, I've got God's Dogs had about $1,500 in money to work with at that point. So I said, "Well, she'll sell it to me for $1,500. I'll do it." So I get over there, we're talking. She goes, "Look, I've just got it licensed. I've gotten all of the approvals and all this done on it." And she goes, "I have like $600 tied up in it." And she goes, "If you got $600, it's yours."
Oh my goodness! So she
brand new $4,000 hot dog cart, basically just she gave us. And so praise the Lord. It's worked out that way each time. And then this side, the storms, all 3 of those basically got trashed, but I was able to piece and part Frankenstein one together. Clean it all up. So that's what we're using at the moment. But then there's the Community Foundation of Tampa Bay had a emergency grant thing that they were doing. And I've worked with them in the past, and they've helped me out during COVID. And I applied, and they gave me $11,000 for a new hot dog cart.
Man, that's amazing.
Isn't that amazing? God provides. Listen, everything about God's dogs from the beginning, God has provided abundantly. When it's needed, it's there.
Yeah,
I don't even got to think about it. I mean, it's like my favorite story is Daryl. He just passed away, unfortunately, recently, but he was our accountant. Well, right after I got my 501c3, I was like, I need to get a good accountant, because this is, I don't want to get in any sort of mess or mess up this good thing.
Yeah.
And so I've been praying for an accountant. I'm like, please, Lord, help me. And no accountant. And I even made calls trying no accountant. Now, all this being said, when I started praying for it, Daryl showed up. He went to the same church as some other people that were helping us, and he showed up. He'd been helping, and he was fired up on fire for helping God's dogs.
Wow.
And so maybe 3 months down the road, I was like, Daryl, what do you do for a living? And he goes, oh, I'm a CPA. I'm like, get out of here.
Yeah.
So he was there the moment I started praying for it. I just didn't realize it.
Yeah.
You didn't realize that he was.
Yeah,
He was a godsend for your.
Absolutely.
Cool.
I mean, it's just amazing,
Yeah.
And that happens. I mean, it's just so cool the way God works. In this
And I mean, obviously, you can look at it now. Hindsight's always 20/20, but you look back and you go, wow, God provided there and there and there and there and there.
Yeah.
And like, I would never pretend to know why God does what he does, but I think, looking at it, it's you're actually going out and you're feeding people. You're meeting a very practical need. I mean, you can't survive without food, right? And so like you're meeting this physical need. And then also when you guys are out, you are evangelizing, you're sharing the gospel, and not like in a like bullhorn, like you're going to hell. Like you guys really care and you create relationships and you cultivate these relationships because I mean, we've been a couple times and like we've not been as much as we would love to go. And I think that's, one of the things about God's dogs is it's kind of one of those things where you free on a Tuesday? Come on. Like it's
we're doing it.
Yeah,
if you got the time, we're doing it. You
it's-
can show up. You
don't even need to give notice, kind of.
Yeah.
It's just like one of those things where people show up, you wrap some hot dogs and you go. But my point is that like we watch these relationships that you guys make, and then you see them every single week, right?
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
you're cultivating relationships, and
Friendships.
yeah, and but one of the things I think about, I call it American missions, is like you send people into these foreign countries and, you evangelize and you share the gospel, which is a beautiful thing. We're told to be the hands and the feet of Jesus and share the good news, but then you leave. And where's the discipleship, right? Where is
Where's
the
the relationship?
friendship? Yes, and like, what do they do after they get saved when they have questions? Who do they go to, right? Like, so for me, it feels very colonizing, and I don't love that. But but what you're doing
I
is
understand what
different.
you're saying.
Yeah, and not every missionary does that. Please
No.
don't hear me say that. But I think what you guys are doing is, it's the friendships first. But how do you make friends? Usually, it's through the tummy. You got to cook for people. I mean, like
true.
that's a huge thing.
Yeah,
but
it's
also,
time.
Yes.
Also, I mean.
And consistency and showing up every single week.
That's one of my favorite compliments that people will say to us is that what they appreciate most about us is that they know we're going to be there.
Yeah.
And so many people that whose lives we've touched, it comes from just caring. I mean, most of these people that are homeless, they don't have anybody that's giving them an ear that really cares. I mean, they're got people that are homeless also that are stealing from them. They burned all the bridges in their families. Usually, that's why they're homeless, because they one reason or another. But when they know, that we care, that we love them, it really makes a difference. I mean, and I drive down Nebraska during the day or whatever, without the hot dog cart. People are like, hot dog man, it cracks me up. It's like, so I know so many people that I never would have met, prior to this thing. And it's like my truck overheated once, right on Nebraska and Florida, sitting there by the checkers, and I'm sitting in the empty lot. Now, any other person, it's a pretty sketchy part of town for sure. I mean, matter of fact, someone got shot like one night when we were doing hot dogs right on the bench in front of checkers. But I'm there hanging out, and I had like 7 people walk up asking, that knew, hot dog man came up and offering to help and all that. And I just had to let it cool down a little bit. But, it's like, I felt totally cool. I mean, it's so it's a blessing. It really is a blessing to have friends friends in low places, but
as the great poet Garth Brooks once said.
But, there's so many people that and it's so refreshing too, because you'll see some of them that actually get their act together and they're, they're not homeless anymore, and they're made success.
Yeah.
And that's a really rewarding feeling, especially when they give you some credit for it.
Yeah.
A lot of people are like, man, you've prayed with me, and my favorite story is this one lady. We're all on Nebraska, and we're there, and she pulled in her car, and she goes, I don't know if you remember me, but I used to get hot dogs every week from you at the Salvation Army, and you prayed with me, and you were always there. And I just want to let you know that this is my car, and I have a job now, and I have a house, and my family's back together. And I just want you to know God answered your prayers for me.
Wow.
And
That's amazing.
Yeah.
it is amazing. It's such an amazing thing, and to see, and I get to see that all the time. That prayers being answered, so amazing.
And you're planting seeds.
Yeah.
Over time.
And if they want it, they know what we're about. I mean, the Jesus, why we do what we do. The reason this shirt came about was because Mitch when the church was first starting, he drove home that to be here in a certain city, it's why we do what we do. And so every time he'd say why we do what we do, Carl and I would look at it and go, so, it was just kind of a little joke between Carl and I. But then I'm like, you know what? This is what I'm putting on the front of the shirt, God's dog shirt. Yeah. And this says it all. That people know what we're about.
Yep.
And we pray with them and talk to them about the Bible and Jesus, but it's not crammed down their throats. And
Right.
And they know to come to it. If they need prayer, they come up and ask for prayer.
Yeah.
They know, and if they want to come to church, they know they're welcome. And I've even given rides. I'll come pick them up.
Yep.
So that's an intimate relationship when you're willing to pray with someone. I mean,
Yeah.
prayer is it's so important, and it means so much to all of our everyday lives. And being able to pray, have someone ask you to pray with them, it's like it's awesome.
Yeah, it shows a trust in you.
Yeah.
That hey, you really care.
Yep.
You are going to pray for me like you said you would.
Right.
Yeah.
And I say this, and I know it sounds crazy, but one of the best things that's ever happened to me was losing my hand.
And there it is. I believe that about you.
It's insane. There's only one thing that I really miss was playing I used to play the bass in the band and with
Yeah.
Carl, and I loved doing that. And so I mourn not being able to do that. But my attitude was right away. I'm like, well, I'll just flip it over and play left-handed like Jimi Hendrix, and I'll pick it right back. I neglected to realize that when playing the bass is so much feel here, and
Oh yeah.
get it. I have to constantly look down. So I realized not even to mention transposing, with the left hand is, way harder than I thought it would be. So, that hasn't happened yet. I'm sure at some point maybe
Yeah,
if
there's
I
still
feel
time.
like, putting forth the effort to doing it, because it's going to take a lot of work, but I'd like to do it again. But I'm just so thankful to the Lord that I was able to do it for that little period of time.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but I don't know, I got totally off track of
Well,
what that was about.
what an
but-
interesting perspective. But I think also, isn't that how it always goes? Is that you're like, this is the best thing that's ever happened to me? And I think society
Yeah.
would go, nah, bro, that's like the worst thing that's ever happened.
Yeah,
to
you
me. Like,
think
no,
it's
you don't
the worst thing,
understand.
yeah.
Well, it all
And you know what-
depends on what you do with that.
Yeah.
This is the real best reason why. So, as a Christian, we're told to share Jesus with the world and tell people about him, and all that. And, the most awkward thing, really, for a lot of people is bringing up Jesus to someone
Yeah.
that you've met in a conversation. It's hard. It's not an easy thing to do.
Yeah.
It's the easiest thing in the world for me. Everyone I meet is interested in what the story is here.
Yeah.
And so when I once they've asked, bam, doors wide open. I get to tell them how great God is and the miracles that He's done in my life because of this. I get to give my testimony, and I mean, how often do you get? How often do you get the opportunity with an open door to give your testimony and tell them how great God is?
Yeah.
It's true.
Not often.
Yeah.
Every person I meet, I get to do
Yeah,
that.
I will second that about you, because I remember one time we went on a we went on a trip to Dallas to Watermark to go to their workshops and stuff and all their ministries. So that was the first time, like, you like getting to the airport. First time you and I had like a one-on-one conversation about life. You had just gotten the new
the bionic hand.
Yeah, with the thing, like it would sense your, and so you were showing me like, look, I could do that, like, and you're doing all these things. So it was really cool. But what really like, and I guess impressed me about you is that once we got there to Dallas, like, you had no problem going up and talking to anybody, or like, it didn't matter their stature in life. If they were like, you know, you went to like Todd Wagner, and stuff,
right.
Like, you're like, I'm gonna go around and talk to him.
What's up?
Yeah, you went.
I think I gave him a hard time too. I don't remember exactly. Made him sign the book that he goes. I don't usually sign these because it devalues
them. Yeah.
You know, but I'll go ahead. And he wrote a really nice thing. You know, it was cool.
But what I thought was awesome is that, like, when you came back from like going up and talking to him or a few other people, you're like, and you held it up. You're like, I've got this like open door to have a conversation. Who's gonna not talk to me with this thing? And like, you know how bad they're gonna feel about themselves, and so you use that as an opportunity to share Jesus with everyone.
And, you know, my attitude used to be about people is people generally suck. They're selfish. You know, I mean, everybody's selfish to a significant degree.
Oh, yes.
Agreed. And you know, it's hard to, you know, people are just kind of in it for themselves usually and all that. But you know, it's like everyone I encounter is so nice to me. It's like I can see how somebody that's been handicapped their whole life, it might be they have a jaded view of the world, because if people are always nice to you, how are you going to know what the real world, you know, what people can be like? You know, but, you know, seeing how just kind people are. I mean, standing in line at the 7-Eleven with my Slurpee, and I'm digging around for my wallet, and the guy goes, "Oh, I got you." You know, I mean, the free beverages at Wawa all the time. You know, I mean, people just like, "Oh, I got you." You know, it's awesome. You know, helping me load stuff at you know, the store or whatever, and you know, it just I get to see the true niceness in people. That
do you think you're? Obviously, I mean, I think I know the answer to this, but do you think you're more compassionate now too, and have more self-compassion because you now understand maybe like a little bit more of what it's like to like not be able to do everything you want to be able to do, and so like there's like I think that develops empathy and all of that.
Definitely patience.
Yeah,
I mean, you know,
I don't have a lot of it.
I'm always, you know, I've always been in a hurry to get it done or do it now, you know, but it's like, you know, like I used to change my oil and stuff on the car, and it'd take me 10 minutes. You know, now it's like, you know, it's a half hour, 45 minutes, sometimes a little longer, because it just takes longer to do anything, you know. But
so it's made you slow down.
Yeah.
That's hard for us with ADD or ADHD.
right.
Can't really ever slow down. But I'll tell you, sometimes God will slow you down.
God slowed me down.
Yes, I know. I remember I hurt my knee last October, and he slowed me down. I couldn't walk for like a month, and that was just a month. Like, obviously, doesn't even, it pales in comparison to this, but like I was slowed down and no control over it, and like it was tough.
Frustrating.
It is, but you do have to develop kind of a sense of self-compassion and compassion for others around you, because I think when folks like us have to slow down, we realize that, oh, the whole world wasn't even going as fast as us anyway. Like,
right, I know. We were stressing them out anyway.
We were stressing them out. Like our pace is just, it's too much. So I think that is divine, and I'm glad to hear you say that, because I also feel like a lot of people, you know, when they have challenges and trials, they can go the other way, and they can go, well, you know what, screw this. I'm just going to be a bitter, angry person forever.
Oh, I mean, there's been numerous people that, after this happened, I told the nurses at the hospital, I said, listen, if you ever get somebody that's having an amputation or whatever, you know, once they're kind of settled in, you know, I'd love to be there to come talk to them, to kind of give them a little bit of hope and all that. Because I had this guy down in Gibsonton that he'd lost his arm when he was in high school, water skiing accident. And, you know, one of my best friends said, you got to go talk to him. You know, so I went down there and we talked, and he, you know, just kind of told me you know, kind of showed me the ropes more or less. And, you know, I mean, and this guy, you know, only had like a little bit of here and a little chicken wing, and that man works on boat motors and does all sorts of things. He doesn't like using a hook. You know, it's like, So it gave me, kind of gives you someone else that's in the same situation,
Yeah.
And whenever I feel sorry for myself, I just reflect on some of my friends that I've made that, well, they have a prosthetist school over by the airport. Yeah, I know.
That's
You know,
hard
they
to
taught me. It's a school where they teach them to make hooks and do all that stuff, that kind of doctoring, and they need models, more or less. They need people to go in there so that they can work on and practice making. And so I go do that. And this other guy that comes regularly, he's missing both arms and both legs. And he lost him. He was out hiking and came across, there was a power line on the ground, and he got shocked and fell. And basically his arms and legs got burned off of his, they just got fried, but he survived. And I know how much of a pain in the neck this is. It's like trying to unscrew a hose. Just silly stuff. Little stuff. Ziploc bags. Forget about it.
For granted,
Ziploc bags drive me insane because they're, So and I think, gosh, this guy doesn't even have a hand that works or feet. And his attitude's amazing. And so I just, there's inspiration, in that. Yeah. It can always be worse for sure, and seeing that someone's attitude being good, because it's important, especially as Christians. It's important to have a positive, friendly attitude. You go around miserable and grumpy, what kind of a testimony is that?
Right. What the fruit of the Spirit is joy.
Yes.
Yes.
Anger, exactly.
Yeah. I have to remember that.
Yes.
No, it's true. I'm gonna switch it back to God's dogs for a minute because I want to ask. I think for those that are listening, if you've not done God's dogs, if you've never been to serve,
you should
walk us through what a typical night looks like. Just like when people get here, walk us through what happens, just to kind of give our listeners just a sense of what we do.
Okay.
And then we'll kind of move into how does all this fit with the 2%? Why do we care, right? Why do we care? So walk us through what a night looks like.
So my typical Tuesday is I get the hot dog cart all ready, and I leave about 2:00 in the afternoon.
Because you live in 19 states away.
Down in Ruskin. And so I go and on the way I go by, get ice, and then I go by Walmart and get whatever hot dog, whatever supplies we need and all that. And then I go and pick up Earl, and then.
And this is all through donations, right? Because you're a 501(c)(3),
yes,
or however you say it.
501(c)(3). Yeah.
Thank you. But it's all donation based too. So
yeah.
Okay, all right. So that's.
Yeah, we started out, it was just out of pocket, and that's the way I would have done it forever. But then I'm like, people like to donate to it because they like what we're doing, and I used to have an attitude of I don't want to, I'm doing this for, my own prideful reason or whatever. Taking money. I'm like, if I take money, then it doesn't mean, But then I had one guy he goes, dude, I just want you to know this. I think that you're rude and there's no excuse in you not accepting money. I like what you're doing. I think it's awesome. I wish I could do it, but I can't. The only way I can have a part in it is if you take some money and use it for their thing. And it was just like one of those moments. I'm like, wow, he is totally right. So I changed my attitude, and fortunately in the last couple, definitely the last year, I hadn't had any money out of my pocket to do it at all.
Praise God,
we had enough to buy the hot dogs, but God's provided. It's amazing how He provides.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
That's good. I just wanted them to know. So we donate. Okay. So then, all right. So you go and you buy the things and
buy the hot dogs, pick up Earl, and then we usually get to the church here about 4. I try and daylight saving time, try to get by 4:30. Sometimes then summertime around 5:30. We get started at 5:30 summers, 4:30 hopefully in the winters.
Oh, okay.
And so we get a table set up and we start cooking the hot dogs, and people that have come to help, we wrap the hot dogs up and put them in insulated bags because it makes it so much easier when we're going around to hand them out. Yep. So we do that. It usually takes an hour and a half to get them all set and cooked. We'll cook anywhere from 300 to 500 hot dogs or so, and get them ready. And then we hit the road. We drive around Tampa, go to all the parks and little nooks and crannies where they hang out, and then we go up Nebraska to a couple of the parks up there, and usually that's the end of the night for most of the people that are riding around with us in the back and stuff, and that's usually around 8, 9 o'clock, and then at that point, Earl and I keep going up Nebraska, and we go down Bush. And there's a bunch of places all around there, up by Bush at the Home Depot. There's all kinds of people up there. So anyway, then we go over to Temple Terrace, and then I usually drop Earl off around that time at his place, and then I go through Seffner and Riverview, Gibsonton, and Ruskin. And usually it's pretty late night. I get home usually around 1 or 2. Wow. Sometimes it's been like 4. But that's on good nights, on a real good night. I don't
call that a good night.
Yeah, it is. It's great because, because it never ceases to amaze me that these people, they're counting on me. Mm-hmm. It's like they're, one of the best compliments I've gotten was, "You're late." It's like they keep track of when I'm around and showing up, and that's a blessing, and so, it's like I always got to make sure, I can't just blow off part of the route home because these guys told me at a Circle K in Gibsonton, they go, "Man, what happened last week? We didn't see you," because I'd run out of hot dogs, so I just kind of went home. It was 12:30. I'm like, I'm not going to go buy more hot dogs, and they said they waited till like 4 in the morning for me. I'm like,
no.
Great. That's just great, So, but that's the kind of you develop that relationship. And I do anything I can for them. I try. If they need clothes, I'll help them get clothes. And all sorts of stuff. But the comfort factor is in the beginning. That's what we tried doing. You're trying to help out in all ways.
Yeah.
But it became a real burden, hard to do, and frustrating. And I prayed about it, and God told me, He said, "All I told you to do was feed them and be there for them."
Okay.
And I'm like, there you go. Yeah. So that's all I focus on. If I can do something else, I'm happy to. Yeah. But I'm not bringing it up like, "Hey, you need this or that," because it just that's not what we do.
But you have to find a balance too, because you have a family and you've got things going on too. So I get that. I get that. Your calling is your calling, and all you can do, you will. But
that's the thing about this is that I think everybody should try it because
I do too.
Because people that try it, there's a lot of people do it and they love it as much as I do. And that fires me up. There's other people that do it and they're like, they respect it for what it is, but it's not what their calling is, and it's not really their cup of tea. Great also, but if you don't try it, you'll never know if it might be one of those things that God's going to bless your life with.
Yeah, we've gone a couple times, like I said, and we took Emily twice.
I love it when kids come. I love the kids.
Like we were like, well, is she really going to understand? And is she going to get bored? Is she going to really want to help? And I think the first time she got a little bored, and we were like, well, we get it. She's 7. Right. We took her this past year, and she did it. She's out there rapping and stuff. Yep. And she cried when we had to leave because we couldn't go actually hand them out. We had to leave. She had school the next day.
Yeah, they love riding back in the truck and giving out hot dogs.
Oh my gosh, she was so upset that she couldn't, because all she wanted to do was meet people. She couldn't care less about the hot dogs and stuff. She just wanted to meet the people. Right. And that made my heart so happy, because
she liked handing things to them too,
and so I think
giving.
I think if you bring your kids and have them serve too, they might get a little bored, but I don't know. There was something there that she was like, oh, this is important, and what was important to her was not necessarily the feeding. It was I want to talk to people. She wanted to make that connection. And I think kids are like that. It's like Jesus says, let the little children come unto me. Let's think like kids, man. Just have a conversation. It's not that hard. Yeah. And I fear sometimes because, and before I ever did God's Dogs, you have that little trepidation of I don't even do well talking to people in my own circle. How am I going to go talk to a bunch of people that are
homeless people?
We want food, and they're surrounding the trucks, and I had a little bit of anxiety about that. But when I went and I just saw the connection that you guys had already had, it made me just feel safe. it made me feel like that this was a good thing. And not, again, you were meeting a physical need and a spiritual need. You were not out there with a bullhorn, get saved, you know, and you also
Well, I do
weren't
have a
just like,
bullhorn, but it's to go, hot dogs!
what did you say? Roll out.
Roll out!
No, and you're not out there also just handing people hot dogs and then bye. See,
Yeah.
like no, you're there
Right.
to evangelize. That's what it is, and to pray with people. And so you're doing both, and I think both are equally as important. But I mean, I guess that would be my challenge to anybody listening is like if you've thought about doing God's dogs or it's been on your heart, like don't be like I was. Don't have like weird anxiety about it. Like it's a really good thing, and you're surrounded by love. Like, and
Yeah.
I was surprised at that actually.
Right.
So just trying to be transparent.
Yeah, I mean, most people, the most encounters they have with a homeless person is maybe when it's being asked for money, or you see them but you don't talk to them, you know, type. And so, you know, I think there's a barrier there that I think our society kind of creates naturally, and it's not like they don't like them or they don't want to help them, or it's just an uncomfortable barrier. And then, you know, and in doing this, you realize that they're just they're people too, and you know, so many of them are really good people, you know, just in a bad situation, and it's just like I said, giving giving unconditionally, you know, to somebody who has nothing to give you in return. It's the greatest blessing. God blesses you in so many ways, through the relationships, through all kinds of just ways. It's amazing, you know. So.
Yeah. So I'm going to ask you this. This is kind of like our 2% pod question segment. And I'm only going to ask you a couple of these because I think the time we've spent just talking about the ministry itself and then getting to know you better was time well spent. And I think this ministry is super important. And I hope that our listeners would get involved in it and go serve or donate. But for the 2% piece of this, you know, our whole goal in this is to really kind of cultivate that mentality of what would it look like if we were 24/7, 365 worshipers? Like, what does that look like? Like when I'm paying my bills, when I'm doing my laundry, like what? How? You know, and so when you're either doing God's dogs or you're doing your, like, you know, I would call you retired, you know, like
That's
when,
right.
when you're just doing
When I fill out a form, yeah, retired.
Oh man, I'm so jealous.
I know.
What does that lifestyle look like for you? Like, I guess practically, like, how do you spend your days kind of in that space, in that zone, you know, and what does that look like for you? How do you?
You know, God's Dogs has turned into a full-time job for me. Not an unpleasant job by any means, obviously, and not a paying job, but you know, I mean, it's like I bought a whole bunch of these shirts because when you come help, you get a shirt for helping, you know, on your second time coming, you know, and to wear, because it's our kind of like uniform of sorts. But you know, I mean, pretty much, I mean, it's like all I wear are these shirts now because. And so it's always on my mind. First and foremost, when you got this on your chest, you got to make sure you're not going to be a jerk. You know, I mean, you.
Well, it's similar to like the bumper sticker idea.
Oh,
when
yeah,
you put
yeah.
like when you put the ichthus on your bumper.
Yeah, you know, going in, you know, you're in Home Depot trying to return something, you start giving the woman a talking to, and I mean, come on now, you know.
Yeah.
You got to remember who you're representing.
Yeah.
So that's really helped me in my life of you know, calming down and being more loving as much as possible. You know? And so, you know, I think differently now, so much differently from the standpoint of like, you know, if they're being a jerk to me, you know, well, the truth of the matter is they probably got something bad going on in their life, and they need, what do they need? They need love. They need somebody to talk to them about it. I mean, it's your reaction to people, and so, you know, for me, that's what God's Dogs has turned into. It's just, you know, a lifestyle change. You know, I'm not as high strung as I used to be, and you know, I mean, and I'm real thankful for what God's Dogs has done. I love the people that I met. I mean, not just homeless, the people that come and help us. I mean, I love the relationships. You know, there's a lot of people that they've been coming, you know, for years. And there's a couple of them are homeless. You know, the homeless guys that show up every week, you know, every week.
serve,
I can count on them to be there. You know, I mean, for their pluses and minuses that they bring to the table. You know, I mean, it's really cool to those relationships and you know, when families that show up with their kids. It's a wonderful thing and just a true blessing.
Yeah, I love that. So when you are out there serving, I guess talk to me a little bit about serving as an act of worship. I mean, that's what it is. Do you know, like, so I think what you're doing every Tuesday is obviously an act of worship, but I think the relationships that you're building while you're there, those carry on through the week. You know, I mean, you're talking to these people sometimes throughout the week, or you're helping them, or even if you are up here like on a Sunday and you were to see hey, Hot Dog Kenny, like they know your name, they know your persona now. You know,
You know
like,
the yellow truck.
Yeah, they know your truck.
They got my number.
Yeah. So, I mean, all of that like culminates, I think, itself into that lifestyle of worship and I have such mad respect for you and for Earl and for all the folks that do God's Dogs, because I think it's one of those things where, again, like there's a service that you're providing, but you are the hands and feet of Jesus, and it's like a symbolic washing of the feet, you know, because it's like the scripture says, what you do to the least of these, you're doing unto me. And, you know, it's, again, I don't think that anybody should ever go into it thinking like, the least of these, I'm going and I'm going to provide my American help or what my rich people.
My attitude is, hey, whatever it takes. You can come out and help. You know, God'll make the changes that need to be made.
But it's like you said, like when you really look at it, when you really pull the layers off, some of us really are that close that could happen to you.
Yeah.
You miss a few paychecks, I'm sorry.
I mean,
you get an injury. Hello, I'm blowing my arm off. Okay, what's going to happen to me? Like there goes my family. You know, so it's kind of that realization is we're a lot closer than we know.
We think. Because you know we go through life, and who knows how many times that we're not aware that God was like, poof, caught you.
Yeah.
Just saved them, you know, poof, gotcha. You know what I mean? Who knows? I look back on my life and I'm like, I'm so thankful the Lord's always been there, even when I thought I didn't believe in him or whatever, you know, he's there. And it's those times when you're not aware that I don't know how many times in my life, I know there's been many times that he has absolutely been there. And I know the reason I'm alive is because things went right. You know, but it's all those other times that you're like, you know, that he catches you and you didn't even know you were falling.
And that's one thing that over the past couple of years, I've tried to be more attentive to is the grace and the mercy that I have not recognized that's been extended to me, you know, because, you know, there's times, you know, everybody can recognize if you believe in Jesus Christ, you'll have moments where you fully recognize this is God's grace and mercy on my life. Mm-hmm. This is God's love being evident in my life, you know, being poured out to me specifically.
Clearly obvious.
Right. Yeah. But then there's how many times have we, like our own kids, just gone through life not even realizing like it takes a daily dose of grace and mercy from Jesus Christ in order for us to make it through this moment that we never recognize him for.
Yeah.
So like, and that's something that like I've been more and more convicted of over the past couple of years is like there's so many, like I recognize certain things, but there's way more that I don't recognize that God is constantly catching me or constantly keeping me inside. We just
actually talked with Zach Elliott and you know, B3, it was their whole mission is to like show beauty through the gospel and like just beauty in the world. And if you really look for it, it's everywhere. It's everywhere because God is everywhere, you know, and like the pictures he paints in like one's life, or like look at a sunset.
Yeah, you took the words out of my mouth. You know,
it's really everywhere if you'll look for it. And I think that's another thing about what you guys are doing at God's Dogs is there's beauty in that. There's beauty in that because there's service in it. There's meeting a physical need, which is beautiful. And then just the relationships that you guys are making. And then like those stories you talk about where the lady came up to you and she said, this is my car.
Yeah.
You know, I got
Right.
a job. And like, so for her, that was success. That was like a
Yeah.
come up, you know,
Yep.
and you guys see that frequently.
And she was so excited. She's driving down the road. She saw us. She turned around to come tell us
you.
that. I mean, that's really cool.
That's
you know?
beautiful.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. And I just think if you look for those things and you are attuned to the Holy Spirit and you're looking for them together, He's going to show you those things. And I think God's dogs is one of those things.
Yeah.
It is beautiful.
I love it. I mean, the way He's blessed my life. I mean, you know, like I talk about the people I've met. You know, I mean, going through Gibson, there's a bar there. And one night I just decided there's a bunch of people sitting out there. I'm like, I bet a drunk person would like a hot dog.
Oh, yeah.
You know? So I pulled in and started talking. And, you know, I mean, and it's like there's so many cool people. It's a 1% biker bar. Okay. Kearney biker bar.
Okay.
You know, so they're special people there. And when I say special in many ways, but
Talented.
you know, they're definitely unique. You know, what I mean, you know,
Yeah.
they're not your normal person that you run across anywhere else. But I've made such good friends there. It's like this one guy. First night that I was there, he goes, I really like what you're doing. He goes, I want to help you. Do you want money or time? And I'm like, I'm going to take time over money any day because time is really all we have. And he came, brought his kids, didn't miss a day for a year and a half or so. Then brought some of his other family to this date. Still, 4-something years later, his sister comes and his kids come and her kids come. I mean, it's like I've seen these kids grow up and stuff, but they, you know, all because of a chance encounter at a bar, you know, giving out hot dogs.
Because you stopped outside of a bar to hand out a hot
That's-
dog or two.
And 3 people
Meeting.
from that bar, I've had 3 people accept the Lord at that bar.
Wow.
You know,
That is huge.
it's so amazing. I mean, you know, and it's just, you know, being there at the right time and they see this Jesus shirt walking up and I've had skinhead, this one guy, swastika tattoo and all that. And, you know, he big time atheist, you know, came up, he goes, oh, yeah, so God's so good for you, huh? How do you explain your hand there? And I'm like, you just stepped in it, buddy. So we stood there and we talked.
Let me tell you.
We talked for like an hour. And I wish I had a recording of it because, yeah, afterwards he goes, you know what? People that I know, I've always been their project trying to get me to come, you know, to know Jesus and all that garbage.
Yeah.
He goes, you know, but I just want you to know what you've said to me tonight is the first things that I've ever heard that I can wrap my head around. And I'm not saying I believe in God right now, but what you said made sense to me. I'm like, wow, how cool is that? And this guy's like, I'm on the way out, and he goes, hey, like that to me, and I'm like, you know, what do you do to that?
Yeah.
You know?
Oh my gosh.
But fast forward a year later, I went to this comedy club because one of the guys that helps us, he decided he's going to be a stand-up comedian, and so it's just a little place in Ybor, so we go there. Swastika
there?
guy was there, and he goes, hey, I just want to let you know I've been to church a couple times with my girlfriend, and you know,
Wow.
he's like, it's not as bad as I thought it would be.
Interesting. So,
So-
you're planting seeds, like just
Yeah.
continuously.
Right.
Yeah. And
I mean-
that's like all we're called to do. You
Yeah.
know, we plant the seeds, we show up,
Do our part,
and the Holy Spirit takes
give
it
them
from
what
there.
we can, and don't expect to be the one that like makes the difference, but you might be.
You might be.
You very likely might be, you know. And I found that when I'm doing God's dogs, every single person I meet, I take very seriously because there's no coincidences, and like it's my job to ask them some questions, find out, you know, what it is, and because I know God's put us there for a reason, you
Yeah.
know, and you know, and I hope it's there for me, for them to see God's love through my actions,
Yeah.
you know, and that's
Yep. I mean, at the end of the day, I would call you an evangelist. I would.
Oh.
And so, have you ever taken the APEST or like one of those spiritual gift tests?
Yes.
Are you
Yeah.
are you an E?
Yeah, well, not, I was evangelist and a vision. What's the word?
Prophet.
Prophet.
See, and we don't even need a test to know that
Yeah.
about you. I mean, like,
That's
so
obvious.
it's just, it's beautiful. I love what you're doing. I have, again, like I said, mad respect for you and what you guys are doing. I'm going to ask one more question and then we'll conclude. And this is, this one's always kind of a funny one. We call it missing child segment, because of the milk boxes, remember back in the day?
Yeah.
So the question is, what do you think is missing today, like from modern worship? And that's a very vague, broad question, but first thing that comes to your mind when you think of worship and all that it entails, what's
I think
missing?
that the thing that we're missing, and every church I've been to seems to be missing as well, is the sharing of our testimonies. You know, I mean, Revelations 12:11, it says, Satan was defeated by the power of their testimony and the blood of the Lamb. I love that. That's my favorite passage. Because you know, our testimonies, that's all we have.
Yes.
That is all we have, and that's all we have to connect with someone else. And you know, so there's some people's testimony, like Mitch. Mitch has led a very, by all definitions, I would say, a boring testimony. It's a boring testimony.
We've
that
talked
too.
about this,
Yeah.
and he even says he's like
Right.
he has boring
You know,
testimony.
and-
it's like a theology of boring, which is
Yeah,
very true,
theology.
very
Yeah.
true. Yeah,
Ordinary.
Yeah. So, you know, and I'm like, wow, what a cool thing to have. I mean,
Yeah.
my testimony is
I
far
pray that for
from
my
that.
daughter. I pray
and,
that
you know,
for my
it's
daughter.
like, you know, mine might be in that category of someone that they'd be, I wish my testimony was, but the truth of the matter is his testimony means a huge amount to me. And who knows who it'll touch. My testimony, when I've shared it, and you should share your testimony. You got it. The one thing I think is the most important is to work on your. It's an ongoing thing anyway. But you know, get the basics down so you can share your testimony in a quick manner. Even if you can get it to where you can give it in a minute, 2 minutes, you know, you can share it with so many people, and you never know who that person is when you share it. That you don't. It's like Kent asked me. I was walking down the hall during church during Sunday school down at First Baptist, and he waved me down to come into his Sunday school class. Asked if I could give my testimony real quick. I'm like, yeah, sure. So I gave a pretty quick little testimony, and figured, that was cool. Worked. And it turned out that it was so cool. That day, well, one of the people that goes to our church had brought his mother. Okay, his mother was an alcoholic and had been struggling with wanting to, go to church for years. And they finally got her to come that day, and she. She said, I mean, and he's like, your testimony, your openness and candidness, got her. It made the difference for her. And I'm like, I didn't know that, but I mean, that's such a powerful thing, and you never know who you're talking to. And, if you feel led, you should give your testimony because, like I said, it's all we have. And that's really the way you connect. You got that one little thing in common with them, and they see you might be there for encouragement to them.
Yep.
That feel they're going through the worst time in their life that you've been through and you survived. You give them that little bit of hope that, like, man, you can survive this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's so I think that's the thing that's missing most in churches and because when you give your testimony, it's like you get to know that person better.
Yeah.
You care more about them. I mean, it's hard to when you know the depths of this person's story, you're going to love them even more. I mean, that's what a relationship is. You get the more you know someone, the more connected you are with them, and so that's the one thing that for sure is missing the most out of out of our Christian society, as far as I'm concerned.
That's a great answer. Yeah, and I mean that's partly why we decided to do this podcast, is because we just know the power in telling your story, and there's a connection point, I think, when someone hears, oh man, they've been through the same thing I'm going through, or the same thing I've been through, and it's.
And listen, my testimony, the little bit that I've shared, I mean, is not even. It's just like, just the edge of it. I mean, there's been, drugs and just loneliness, separation of marriage, all that. But God has been there and fixed all the problems.
He's a fixer.
He is.
He's a fixer. He's a restorer.
He fixes things that you don't even know you had wrong.
Yep.
There's just so many stories, I think, of redemption and restoration.
And people
healing.
love to hear those.
Oh,
Yeah,
they're great, and like that's fine and good, and like that's why we're doing this. But like, I think sometimes like if we have listeners or watchers that they're not restored yet. And they're in the middle of the hurt.
Well, I don't even know that I'm restored.
Well, no,
I'm
none
doing
of us
my
are.
best to try and be a good
No.
man, a good
I
Christian.
don't think any of us will be
But,
until we get to glory, right? There's
Right.
going to be that moment of glorification, but we're in the already but not yet. We're all being sanctified.
Well,
But
Paul,
when I think,
Paul even says, like, I think it was Paul that said that, like, the best way he could describe our life here on earth is like our souls are in a womb, in a sense, like our bodies are the womb, and like we're coming to full term. To a extent, in a sense, and so like we're just experiencing labor pains.
Yep. But
Like,
I think when you've got people that could be listening that are in the middle of a trial, or in the middle of like, even, do I believe any of this stuff? Like, it's so encouraging to hear stories like yours, and stories where something that could have been your darkest moment and just set you on a path toward destruction or whatever, and God was like, no, not my Kenny, not my son. We're going to use this for good. And that's what he does. He brings beauty from ashes.
And he gave me the vision, the ability to recognize, because I know that I could have gone the other way. I mean, I was very depressed, because all I could think about immediately afterwards was like, I'm not going to be able to hunt, not going to be able to fish, not going to be able to, all these things I'm not going to be able to do anymore. Devastating feeling,
Yeah.
And it was just that one encounter that I realized that, you know what I can do? Anything I want. I just got to figure out how to do it, and praise the Lord for that.
Yeah. And the Holy Spirit changed your story. He really did.
Yeah.
He changed your story, the trajectory of your life. I mean, that's what he does. And like, I mean, it's happened we shared our story. It happened for us, and it's just like a pivot. He's like, no, I don't like, we're going this way. And I trust me, you will like it once we get to the end. It's like, you're like, okay.
Yeah.
Kicking and
Oh yeah,
screaming.
Not you're like not interested.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you sure, God? Are
Yeah.
you sure? Yeah. It's like, the whole Moses, he had a stutter, and he's like, I'm not doing this. And I mean, like, some of the spiritual giants of the Bible, and they're just like,
Yeah.
Well, if you notice, all the spiritual giants of the Bible are all people that
Some of
God
the-
went and sought out
some of
to
the
be the
messiest
spiritual
stories, too.
Yeah, he like all these different prophets were people that weren't there already on the front row, just like,
Yeah.
I've been volunteering to be prophet for like it's my turn. No, God went and found these people out like in a prairie, like tending to sheep, or like they were just doing. And then God brought them in.
They were killing Christians and going around making sure that
And there we go.
Yeah,
there,
how about
and
that
so
one?
like they're like typically what we would picture as like, okay, this would be the ideal prophet.
Right.
God's like, cool.
Yeah.
I've got a better idea.
just totally, nothing you would imagine. Which
You're-
that's
you're
how he
selecting-
sent his son too.
yeah.
You're the
as a
clay.
baby.
He takes the clay mold and
Yep.
Yeah, and it's it's just like us humans trying to describe him and explain who he is and what he's done, and it's like, it's beautiful because these are words we understand. And like one day when we get to heaven and we truly get it, it's gonna blow our minds. Like we just can't even fathom the goodness of God and His sovereignty and all of that. But
once you tasted, God's love, and you truly have had even if it's just a little bit of God's love and grace, you realize how amazing it is and how much more you
want it.
want. And and it's there. That's the beauty of it, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an endless abundance.
Yeah.
And you know, I just want to share that. I try to share that with people, and it's like those people that don't want to hear it and all that, they see it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, one of the wonderful compliments I got was this homeless lady. I got out and we're talking, and she goes, "I see the love of Jesus in your smile."
That's a compliment.
That's awesome.
How cool is that?
I know.
Yeah.
I was just giving out hot dogs, having a grand old time, you know. But that's what you want people to see, is that love
Yeah.
coming out of you. I ask, you know, the Lord when I pray, when we're doing hot dogs, that He uses us to show His love to others, to let us be that example of love that they haven't seen.
Yeah.
You know, that'll draw them closer to the Lord.
Yeah, man, I've enjoyed this. I'm like very grateful that we got to do this with you.
Yeah.
And hear
I'm
your story.
so excited about it. I mean,
Well-
you didn't even ask about why I wanted to do this. You
Oh
know, it's
yeah,
like-
no.
Yeah.
Why did you agree to do this podcast?
Well, first and foremost, any chance I get to talk about God's dogs, I love to do it. I mean, it's great. And then if I get to talk about myself too, it's like bonus. You know? But I mean, yeah, the
I hope
truth.
your wife's going to see this. She's gonna,
Yeah. Hey, she's going to be pleased. I didn't really share anything about her.
Good.
She's kind of, you know, kind of private. So, you know.
There you go.
But, you know, so the idea, I mean, the 2 times I've been on Fox 13
Yeah.
about God's dogs.
we're going to link
And
to that clip.
Yeah, they did one when we gave out our 10,000th hot dog, and then one when we gave out the 100,000th. And, you know,
Yeah.
and those stories are so cool. And that's just another, you know, it's like, I was bummed out. I was in one of those modes, because I'm not always in a good mood about having to do this in the beginning of the night. I always get home, and I'm so glad I did it.
Yeah.
Rachel's favorite time is, because I usually, I don't go in and wake her up when I get home because it's so late. But when I hear she's up in the morning, I'll go up and she's like, "So tell me about last night," you know, because she wants to
You're
hear.
just ready to go.
Because there's so much good stuff that happened, and so it's like, I was really bummed. I was sour attitude about doing hot dogs that night, almost to the point where I said to Rich, I said, I think I'm going to cancel for tonight. And she goes, "Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot why you were doing this."
Oh,
Yeah, thanks. You know,
Get it, Rachel?
Like her.
So anyway, so I drudged through. I'm like, go to it. It was a wonderful night. And then the next morning, I get a phone call from the Fox 13 guy who'd read an article that the newspaper had written about me and what I'm doing, and he said, "Hey, we want to do a story about you." And I'm like, that's really cool, Lord. You know, my bad attitude. You know, not only that, you're gonna forgive me for the bad attitude, and you're gonna reward me. You know, and so they did that story. It's so cool. I love being on TV talking about God's dogs. You know, I mean, it's
Yeah.
great, and I love it. So be doing podcasts, totally cool. I mean, absolutely, I'll do it any chance I get.
You have a great broadcasting voice too. I mean,
Oh yeah.
like
Oh yeah.
I'm trying to match his length away, but you probably can't hear me, but you can hear him. So, I love it. Well, I'm glad that you did this. I hope that those that are listening will check out God's Dogs. We'll post all the links and everything.
Tuesdays,
like that.
every Tuesday.
Every Tuesday, rain or shine, and then for the winter, 4:30, not 5:30, because the
Yeah.
sun will be going down,
Yeah.
and it might be getting cold. But yeah, definitely come serve. We'll be out there. I tell her when
And
we
they don't even have to be here to we have 2 parts. You could rap, you could do the rapping and all that. Then we go out and give them out. So I mean, if you show up late, you can just go and give them out. Help give them out.
You could
know?
just wrap dogs. You
Yep.
can go hand out.
You can hand them
dogs.
out. You can rap and
Oh.
hand them out.
Or you can donate.
Yeah, or you
if
can
that's
donate.
your thing. But I love what you said, that person that asked, and the boldness that it takes to ask this kind of question. Because I think a lot of people will they'll just assume, or they don't want to ask because it's weird or whatever. The person that asked you want my money, you want my time, and you're like time over
Yeah.
everything. And
Yeah.
and I think too, if all you can do is give, that's obviously more
it's
than enough.
wonderful.
But when you get there and you are the hands and feet of Jesus and you're wrapping food for people that otherwise maybe wouldn't be eating that night, there's something very fulfilling about that. And it's not about the fulfillment we get out of it, but I think that's just like the icing on the cake.
That is,
Yeah.
I feel guilty sometimes about it because I feel like I'm getting so much. I'm like it's like I'm getting so much out of it, and it's like I know I'm giving too. You know, that's what. It's like I almost feel
Holy
guilty because
Spirit, I think so.
well, that's what the Lord does. He blesses you when you're walking His path and doing His work. He takes care of you.
Yeah.
I mean, He's and that's that beauty of it.
Yeah,
You know?
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, that's what this podcast is all about. We're talking about worship, and I think that the service that's happening on Tuesdays it's worship. I'm serving the city. So thank you guys for listening. Thank you for being a guest. And
My pleasure.
make sure you guys like and subscribe, as the kids say. And then
Smash that like
smash
button.
that like button. But also in the comments, anything you guys have that you like. Here's something we'll do new, because we've been asking for people to put like song requests and things like that they want to hear on Sundays, or things that help connect them to God that we can make part of our worship rotation. But I think another thing that would be good too is like other serving opportunities that maybe you know of, or maybe that you've seen, or that you think Redeemer people here would like to be a part of. Let us know. And anything like that, just put it in the comments. But yeah, that does it for today. Thank you.
Praise the Lord.
Real life stories on display, gifts and talents in every way, building up the community. Have you had your 2% today?